The Pacific Wonderland was a site for the West Coast Super Sophomore Games, and this inaugural event was a big time development for two reasons. First, it provided a much needed stage for some top 2028s in Arizona, California, Hawaii, Idaho, Nevada, Oregon, Utah, Washington, as well as Canada. Secondly, having taken place at the University of Oregon in Bushnell, it was in one Shooter Hunt's backyard, making this a bigger joy in his travel schedule. Welcome into Coffee and Curveballs. I'm Cory McCartney. That is the aforementioned Shooter Hunt. And Shooter, your mileage aside, these Super Sophomore Games are looming large. Given the changes in the recruiting landscape and feature games rosters that now lean heavily toward the recruitable juniors to be, the Super Sophomore Games are more crucial than ever, and now the West Coast is on board.
Yeah, it's outstanding. You get to go around the country and see like what's the next wave, right? These underclassmen that college coaches they're collecting names right now, looking for guys to check out in the future. But especially looking back a year ago at the Super Soft Games, those guys who developed from there into future gamers, into committing to colleges, even into becoming prep baseball All-Americans. It's become an awesome process and one that I'm really excited about, especially now out here on the West Coast. And the talent that was at the University of Oregon, PK Park, the gorgeous confines, was outstanding.
Well, you've got a list of 20 impact players as states, and considering Canada, we're going to say nation spanning as well. Lists come out of these West Coast Super Sophomore Games. Let's take this geographically and start off with Hawaii. And the player that topped your list, catcher Kai Watanabe, the Aloha State's #1 player who boasts a ridiculous 1.85 pop time, runs a 6.9 60. He's joined by a trio of shortstops, Little League World Series legend Kekoa Painel, Chase Kawakami, and Case Cannon, each one of them producing exit velos north of 95.5.
And I think the overwhelming thing that hit me right in the face off the jump there at PK Park, because I think a lot of the Hawaiian guys were the first ones to take BP, was just how good this 2028 class can be in the state of Hawaii. Each guy that stepped up there, the swing really worked. And right, they're coming from far away, long trip. It was a brisk morning in the PNW, but they stepped in there and from the first pitch were banging. But when you look at Watanabe at the top, left-handed hitting catcher, he gets great ground force. It's a more physical frame. He put on a little bit of a power display throughout BP to the pull side. But then he goes into the game. He's able to move the barrel around, cover the plate with 2 strikes, make the adjustments. But as you talked about, the arm and the defensive ability is a weapon. He was behind the dish, and it was noticeable even from the first pitch in the first game that this guy's a weapon back there. He's going to shut down the running game. And then you go over to Kekoa, who before we hopped on here was a Little League World Series standout. I didn't even know that, but he steps in the box and there's an air of confidence about the way he handles himself from the right side. Controlled aggression, moves well through impact, a little bit uphill throughout the pursuit, but he's able to lift the ball with some aggressiveness. He looks the part at shortstop. Another guy who kind of expects that success from that side of things. Chase Kawakami, another guy, shortstop who looked the part throughout, athletic, loose. He's going to continue to add strength. And you talk about Cannon, a guy from the left side, for even our state directors from outside of Hawaii, we're talking about how well this guy can swing the bat. And he's the look of a real true hitter in the future.
California, as expected, is well represented. The headliner here is shortstop Ryan Sheffer out of Oaks Christian, ranked 45th in the class, running a 6.9 with EVs at 92.6. He's joined by some considerable talent among the state's shortstops in Linfield Christian's Tice Johnson and Ridgeview's Jacob Quintero. Johnson producing triple-digit exit velos. Quintero has an infield velo up to 87.
Oh no, Cory, are we talking California shortstops again? Stop me if you've heard this one before. But no, Sheffer at the top, it's a really polished look. His brother Carson committed to Oklahoma State, really good player at Oaks Christian, national ranked guy in the 26 class. But I just love the way he handled himself. Again, another guy who really moves well through impact, gets the hands loaded, everything's fluid at the plate, especially on the infield where he might have been the top defensive guy there throughout the week. You go over to Quintero, who, this is why I love these Super Soft Games, had not heard of Quintero. You step in like this really works at the plate. Talking with Steve Hardesty, like this guy was the best defensive player throughout the workout. He just dances around out there. Love everything about that. So like those two guys, especially at the top, were guys guys to look at. Then you go over to Tyce Johnson, who I keep looking at. It's a unique setup. He kind of loads up on the backside, almost a double, almost hitch, I guess, to get the hitting position. But he gets into that hitting position, and what he can really do is hit. And it succeeds. There's power to the pull side, has big league bloodlines, but he moved the barrel around throughout the weekend, had tons of hits. Then you watch him on defense. He attacks everything. There's some great aggressiveness. There's aptitude. There's athleticism. He's got all the ingredients to continue to get better. Plus, he's in the state of California. He plays shortstop. He swings left-handed. What's not to like about that guy?
A couple of intriguing backstops in Sheffer's Oaks Christian teammate KJ Henrik, who has power and speed to go with a 199 pop time, along with Santa Barbara's Griffin Arnold.
Yeah, KJ Henrik immediately from BP was a guy that stood out to me from the right side. Really tight turns. He gets some length in the zone. There's going to be power there. There's a hit profile, which he did throughout the week. Really athletic, a sub-7 runner who I think, even though he's good behind the plate, he can play all over, a versatile defender, but it's compact. There's not many holes in that swing. So I'm intrigued to see what he does progressing throughout the spring into next summer. And you talk about Griff Arnold. These are guys, especially younger players and prospects, the good college recruiters will see like, hey, this guy doesn't have strength yet, but he's got the foundation ingredients to really get better. Griff Arnold had one of the best swings at this event. Super fluid from the left side. He's going to add strength in coming years. I think it's a high upside and a guy that a lot of coaches are going to want to follow throughout the spring and especially in the next summer.
Some two ways worth noting here: right-hander and outfielders. 6'3" Oliver Dos Curtis, who's another Oaks Christian product. Look at that, might be a team to watch this year. And Notre Dame's Jason Taylor. Then there's Russell Del Castillo, who doubles as a third baseman and is the 47th ranked righty in the nation. Each one of these tooled up across the board.
I mean, Dos Curtis, 6'3", 200. I mean, this was a guy who I think his first swing went like way over the scoreboard. And it just kind of put on display, like there's huge power potential, super athletic player. I think he's got a monster upside. Same thing can be said for Del Castillo, who I thought he swung the bat really well. Probably more of a pitcher long-term, but I'm not giving up on that bat because it's super powerful. It does not take much for him to get to that. And then you wrap things up with Notre Dame, like a power program in the country, not just in Southern California. But Taylor really did a nice job in the outfield. It was a crisp batting practice. He's super athletic, high-waisted, and he's more of an outfielder, but he hopped in with all the shortstops and he looked equally the part there. He can also pitch. So like there's so much stuff to like about those athletes who are versatile, can move around. And then what he did at the plate, you know that the strength's going to continue to come, but he already plays with a high motor and he knows how to play the game, which is especially important as these young guys get going.
Washington headlined by two of its top three players in top-ranked shortstop Lincoln Moore from Kent Lake and outfielder Kobe Reese from Eastside Catholic. Some absurd metrics here as Moore is producing bat speeds of 84.5. Reese has EVs north of 106. And not to be outdone, Daniel Sletter out of Gig Harbor just doing it all. Listed as a shortstop, he's got an infield arm near 90, 195 pop time, and can get it done at the plate and on the mound.
Yeah, and you talk about Lincoln Moore, who's a top 50 guy in the country already, 6'2", 185. You step on the field like this guy looks the part with ease. Then he gets in the box and you're saying, this is only a sophomore. Well, where is this guy going to get to? Because I think his average distances throughout were above 300. He's impacting the baseball at all times, and it doesn't take much. It's super quiet. Everything's well synced and athletic. There's fluidity in the swing, but impressive lag in the zone. I think there's going to be a huge power profile. He's kind of leading the charge in what's going to be an excellent 2028 class coming out of the state of Washington. You talk about Kobe Reese, who it's easy to dream. A left-handed bat, huge power potential. Obviously, the frame is easy to dream on. He's got some stuff to clean up with the hands a little bit, but there is so much promise. I'm excited what he's going to do. Potentially a Lake Point for the future games, putting on a show. We'll see if that happens for us, Cory. I don't want to give too much away. And then Daniel Sleter, who, what I love about the track record of these young guys, right? We talk about coming into high school, building that track record. How do you progress throughout your time in high school? What can college coaches look back on? Daniel Sleter's a guy that I got to see in the winter at the preseason All-State event in Centralia, which is one of my favorite events in the country, especially throughout the preseason. It kind of dictates those spring travel plans. But Sleter is there, looked the part, oh, good player here. He's still getting there, heads to PK Park, and he immediately looked like a different player. He's starting to hit those next levels from both sides of the play, left-handed, right-handed. He can do it, has the great metrics. Like you talked about, a versatile defender behind the plate, catcher, pitcher, can kind of do that even at shortstop. but the hit tool is really what's going to drive him. And especially, I can't say enough about this 2028 class in the state of Washington. I'm getting excited for it. I know Dan Jurek up in Washington, Seattle, is excited to have me up there next spring.
So let's go rapid fire on some states and a country with a single entry in this list. I'm going to give you the player and a standout metric from the event. Idaho's Cooper Schnight, 94 outfield velo.
Yeah, and I mean Idaho right off the bat. Like what I loved about Cooper was how hard he played. Right, you talk about the big arm from the outfield, but the impact at the plate. Not the biggest guy, but he fills out that box and he's getting after it. He's not going to get cheated in the plate. And when you come from Idaho, it's almost like he's got a chip on his shoulder. Like, yeah, we can play here in Idaho as well. And he showed well for himself.
Nevada's John DeLandry, 87.6 bat speed.
Yeah, it was just a freak. And I'm watching BP. I'm sending text messages to Brett Harrison, our director there on the West Coast and Nevada. Hey, DeLandry, this guy is absolutely banging balls. It's coming off different. He's got metrics through the roof. Circle this name. We're following this guy.
Oregon Sam Smith, 6'7", 260.
6'7". Sammy Smith coming down there, Central Catholic. That is right in my backyard here in the city of Portland. But the bat the ball's there. He gets easy lag in the zone, can move it around. He's just got a polished approach. And I think that's going to be something that college coaches love over the next year.
Utah's Trig Cloward, 191 pop time.
You know what? And when Trig walked up, it's all business for that guy. He's a yes, sir, squeezing your hand. I'm stepping in the plate to do some damage, but I can really catch. You can see the lower half strength right now. There's something about Utah and their catchers. They're doing a great job with those guys.
Finally, holding it down for the whole of Canada, Jake Carrier, 92.2 exit velo.
You know what? When I see a Canadian, especially a left-handed hitter, it's like we got to follow this guy because Canadians who hit left-handed, there's something about them that they continue to get better. I'm shouting out Owen Casey there, former Super 60 guy. But Carrier, the bat to ball, kind of similar to what Sam Smith had, but even more so throughout the gameplay. I was impressed. He came down from BC. He's a guy that I'm going to be excited to see potentially next year at the Future Games.
These sophomores taking full advantage of the spotlight with the very first West Coast Super Sophomore Games. We got plenty more coffee and curveballs headed your way, so don't go anywhere. Until next time, I'm Cory McCartney, that's Shooter Hunt, and we'll see you at the Diamond. All right, that was good, man.